everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. So when I made my video last month talking about the race and gender of the authors of the books that I read, there were a lot of really great comments, and I kind of wanted to make a follow-up video related to that topic. One of the most common comments that I received from that video, both in the comment section and also from private conversations that I had with some of you guys, was this idea that people feel like they are just sort of reading the books that they like, and there really shouldn't be this specific effort in order to pick up books based on race or gender. Basically what they're saying is, if I find a book and it sounds interesting, I'll just pick it up and read it. I don't really care about the author at all. I just sort of find books and read them, and if they happen to be white, then they happen to be white. If they happen to be black, then they happen to be black, etc. And while I don't completely disagree with that statement, I very much was the exact same way before I looked at all of my statistics. But the flaw with that idea is that you are kind of assuming that all authors are given sort of equal ground in terms of their exposure. If you watch sort of like the last half of my race and gender video, I kind of talked about the exposure that authors tend to get. I looked at some of the statistics in terms of books that are reviewed in major publications, and I did a sort of very unscientific method of going to Barnes & Noble and just seeing what the race and gender breakdown was for the authors of the books that they display very openly, and it is not an even playing field. And so if you are the type of person where you just sort of hear about books here and there and you just sort of wander through bookstores and pick up whatever sounds interesting, people of color and females are generally already at a disadvantage. They don't get as much exposure on bookshelves, they don't get as much exposure in major publications. There needs to be a more concerted effort by readers at this point to find people of color, because right now they're not getting the exposure that they need in order to get discovered. Now, I'm not blaming anyone for this taking place. You know, there are multiple factors that come into play when it comes to what books are covered and what books are displayed in bookstores and things like that. But I think the fact that there is this disadvantage means that people need to make more of an effort when they're looking for books. And one of the big things for me is the fact that I have this sort of channel where I know that there are people out there who listen to my opinion on books. So I have a relatively small audience, but it's still an audience, and if I make more of an effort to read books by people of color and to talk about those books on this channel, then I could help with this whole inequality that's taking place. Another factor or another comment that was told to me, or I saw commented on, was the idea that people don't want to read books that they know they aren't going to like. Obviously there's only so much time out there, and there are so many books out there, and you can only read so many books in a given amount of time, so why would you expose yourself to new or different books? My argument against that would just be, you have no idea whether or not you're going to actually like those things before you try it, so you're kind of putting your own prejudices into the book or towards the book before you've really given it a chance to win you over. Obviously, the more you read, the more you know about your own taste. So I would never tell someone who hates a specific genre and has given it a good try to read a book in that genre, but the important part of that sentence is you've given it a good try. One book isn't necessarily the entirety of its own genre, and a lot of times you just need to find the right book for you. You could possibly be denying yourself of your potential new favorite book of all time just because you are ignoring certain authors or certain sections. So yeah, those are just sort of my thoughts that I had about this whole topic of diversity in reading. If you have any additional comments about this topic, feel free to leave some comments down below, because I love having this conversation with you guys. Next week I'm going to be doing a video giving recommendations on both books by authors of color and also just how to find out about books by authors of color or different diverse topics. You guys gave me a lot of great suggestions in my last video, and so I will be passing those along to everyone else, along with just some other things that I found. I've literally been working on this since the last video came out, so I have a lot of ground that I'm going to be covering next week, so you guys can look forward to that video. So yeah, that's all I have for now, and thanks for watching.